director, but also between the characters?
I mean, it all started, I think, with an intense 3-week rehearsal period before we started to shoot. And this is quite unusual in movies. I mean, quite often you only get a week, and I know some directors have pretty much none. But Colin, Geoffrey and I had a 3-week process where we literally went through the script line by line, and both these guys have an incredible, fierce intelligence and a great rigour about the text, and are very good at weeding out any line that has a false note or a false beat. And we'd had this, you know, we got a lot of clues from the diaries. I mean, we got a lot of clues as to the wit of King George VI. I mean, for example, that great line at the end of the movie when Geoffrey says, "You're still standing on the W," and the King says, "I had to throw in a few, so they knew it was me." That was written by King George VI and Vogue in 1939. We borrowed it. But it was a clue to the wit and the chemistry between the two men, and so we really wanted to make sure we could mine as much of that chemistry. But I mean, in terms of the broader chemistry between the two men, you know, I think it's hard not to fall in love with either of these men if you're acting with them.
Colin?
I thought the question had been answered. It was, well, that 3 weeks of rehearsal, I mean, that was extracurricular, some of it. I think, you know, the contract had too. And I found out that Geoffrey had already landed on our shores, and let's just, you know, get going. So we got to jump on it and got in as quickly as possible. And I don't think I've ever been in such an intense and utterly committed environment in terms of rehearsal. I mean, the pursuit of everything, in terms of examining it for its possibilities, whether it's for humour, whether it's for truth, whether we could spot an inconsistency, whether something was perfectly good could actually be much better than perfectly good. Everything was turned over and excavated to the maximum, and you know, it was a kind of bizarre, kind of workaholics kind of dream, you know. I mean, I've actually spent the rest of the year since leaving the company of these two men in a kind of detox of staring into space. So we didn't leave anything to chance, and actually the thing was punctuated with, because I mean that could sound rather hellish to most of you, but the thing was punctuated with a great deal of completely unnecessary hurrah laughter, not really based on the delicate wit you see on the screen, but just on some very low forms of humour. And you know, when you work like that, as when you see Lionel, Vogue and Burton work together, one thing appears to be happening, which is the forensic work that they're doing, the technical exercise, the mechanical side of what they're doing. But what's really happening, actually, is a relationship's forming. And I think in the case of these two men, a friendship came out of it, but also it was the friendship that was more to do with the healing than the physical exercises that you see. And actually, I think that the relationship that formed between the three of us during that process, quite beyond the actual script work or whatever else we were doing, informed what the spontaneity was possible in front of the camera. You know, when Geoffrey and I worked together, it was not our own relationship, his mischief and my indignation. Actually, we're important in the scene.
Geoffrey, perhaps you could speak to that mischief.
Colin, I had met very briefly. We overlapped by about 3 or 4 days on Shakespeare in London, but had no scenes together. But we did meet up, and I think this informed the working relationship we developed shooting The King's Speech. We did meet up for the Shakespeare in Love junket in New York, in the company of Rupert Everett, who also had a role in the film. And we went out and drank and laughed heavily. That was the starting point, really, when we picked up on this film. I knew we were in for a pretty grand time.
And it was the same, but subtract the drink.
All right, so we can open up to a few questions. Yes, over there.
We're all superb. What marveled about with you, Mr. Firth, and that was your ability to stammer on an entire script. Can you tell us what kind of difficulty you had trying to be a true stammerer, overcoming your that defect?
The question is about how Colin was able to portray this stammering and keep it going throughout the whole film.
I'm beginning to realize I'm really going to have to find an answer to this question.
It's okay, I beat him mercilessly until he was stammering.
Metal splints are put on my legs. What you have to do is try not to snap. Acting is a bizarre, counterintuitive process where you have to start by trying to have a problem in order to play someone who's trying not to have a problem. And you have to not let anybody catch you trying to have a problem. I don't know quite how to explain how I got there, if I did get there, but all the effort has to do with trying not to have it, is trying to climb out of the silence. Huge amount of help from both of these men. Tom particularly was extremely concerned about all the pitfalls that could go with a stammering or script. If you've got a guy that takes an hour to get a word out and you've only got a 90-minute film, you've got a problem right there. Stammering, appropriate or otherwise, has been used for comic effect in films like Fish Called Wonder and others, and that wasn't the effect we wanted. So that could have been another pitfall. Also, you have to engage with the pain of that problem, and that can't be the kind of pain that makes you want to just leave the theatre. So, and then you've got a narrative to it. You've all seen the film, so we don't have to worry about spoilers here. In order to get to the end of the film, where the triumph is a man who still does suffer from this problem, doesn't completely cure it. He still suffers through that speech. You have to start in an extremely bad place in order for that to be Victoria's ending. I think Tom was very careful in scoring the process where you have a relapse, how much stammering, how little. He was constantly monitoring that, and that was very helpful. And David Seidler, who was our writer, because I think Tom might have expected earlier, had suffered from this as a child, and it was incredibly compelling and eloquent as to what that felt like and what he had to deal with. And he was present as well.
But you do enter into this sort of slightly strange, twisted sadism as a director, where when Colin had an awards event for Single Man and predictably won, he came to me the next morning and said, "Oh my God, I stammered through the speech."
Tom Hooper is the exact opposite of Lionel Lowe. He's the guy that wants to make it worse.
And thanks to Tom's collaborative nature in pre-production and during the shoot and in post-production, which I've never experienced before, he would send Colin and I the current rough cut of the film and say, what we were trying to achieve on the day of shooting, this is how we've edited it, what do you think? Give us brutal, honest notes. And the conversation would get creative again. And then he said that the current version is running 2 hours, 11 minutes, but I really want to get it down to 2 to keep the compression of the drama. And I said, well, please don't cut any of my stuff. Just take out some of the stuff.
You'd still be here. I threw in a couple of those that would have kept us here.
And it was with that brilliant creative disinterest that Geoffrey approached every guest.
All right, we can squeeze one more in. Let's go. Can we go to the balcony? Okay, we'll go right here. Yes.
Could you please speak to the feelings you had when this script first came to you? It's such a wonderful, wonderful script. And I just wonder about the experience. It must have been wonderful to come across it.
So the question is about their first reactions to receiving this wonderful script.
Well, when I first read it, it was a play script, it was a theatre script. But I read it in one sitting and I was completely persuaded with what I loved about it, even though it obviously needed work like all scripts do. I'd been fascinated by the application. I was interested in King George VI, but I would never want to tell the story straight. And the fact that this story revealed to me this wonderfully subversive angle into the monarchy, the fact that the king was helped, not only by a therapist, which even in England now, the English have quite a big issue about having any therapy. It was also an Australian, and the Australians have always suffered slightly at the hands of English satire. It seemed to be a deliciously interesting thing, and I was hooked. There was no moment of doubt. It was magnet to me.
Geoffrey.
I think I was the first of this trio to be aware of the script. It literally arrived in a brown paper bag on my front doorstep.
Wasn't the only thing that arrived.
Like an orphan, like an abandoned baby. And it turned out that this woman in London who wanted to produce the play wanted to get the script to me directly without going through my agent and all that sort of stuff. And her best friend happened to live a couple of blocks away from my house in Melbourne, Australia, and she was the conduit. And she left it with a cover note saying, "This woman in England would like you to do this play. Are you interested?" I instantly smelled a great part in it. I didn't know about Lionel Lowe. He's not well known in Australia at all. And my response to the play script was that it was interesting that within my timetabling and where I lived and various other events I couldn't do the play, that I did phone my agent to say, I think there's an extraordinary potential screenplay in this particular story about an imperial figure and a colonial person. A great abyss between their cultural and class differences, and through a professional relationship finding a friendship. And I went, this has quasi-Shakespearean dimensions, and yet it is something that Julie was saying earlier that deals with metaphors of the most minute aspects of human behaviour that I got from the initial reading. I'm stammering. I got it from the press junket.
It was a much simpler story for me. I came into the process very late, and it was just presented to me, and I met Tom, and there was no brainer really. I feel just what appealed to me is everything you see up there. I mean, the possibilities, all the things that Jeff was talking about, that Tom spoke of, occurred to me as well. It was the love, the friendship love story, the bromance element really. And I have no particular special interest in affairs of members of the royal family. Per se, I'm not a royal watcher. I'm not going to go through them. I don't think about them particularly. What interested me here was all the apparatus of isolation that this man had around him. I think that was the nature of this particular conceit. That he as Tom was saying, people resist therapy anyway in my culture. They resist being reached. Intimate men have tremendous difficulties with intimacy. And if you're a man who not only is of the culture and the generation and the personality type which resists intimacy, and you have several titles and 5 names to be got through before you can even be addressed, and people have to bow to you, and somebody pulls a chair away from you in order not to sit too close. It's a very, very distant starting point for a story of intimacy, and I think really it's the story of Lowe's journey through all that, and trying to navigate through all of both his means of either personal or by means of royal protocol or whatever it is, to try to reach a man that he has written himself off. He's a man of a certain age, and I think Bertie feels that after 40, if I haven't fixed these problems by now, I'll have them forever. And then Lowe sees that something in him. It's not only a personal talent professionally, but I think he recognises the strength and resilience that he doesn't believe he has. And I was very touched by that element of it, really, rather than it being an important historical theme.
And on that note, please join